The US government is now trying to so-called protect children. What is up? My name is Kenji, and today we're going to be covering the KOSA Act. Now, the KOSA Act is very similar to what we had just had passed here in Australia, and it is just terrible. It is just invasion and breach of privacy. Not to mention, it just gives parents an excuse not to parent. Anyways, with that being said, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so first off, I do want to get something straight. I get the spirit of this law, and I do think it could be positive in theory, but it's just not gonna work. Because look, I do get these, like, platforms must design services to prevent exploitation and bullying. I do get that. Platforms must reveal how they use algorithms, personal ads, and provide ways to report harm. That is also a good change. Settings must also limit access to minors and personal data. Very good change, and all the others on this list. But the thing is, the children isn't in the government's best interest. What is in their interest is a breach of privacy and trying to control you. This likely won't work. This won't protect children. Children will obviously find a way around this. Children will always find a way to bypass any settings, use some sort of way to access the internet when they're not meant to. What I think this all needs to come down to is parenting. Parenting is the one thing that needs to happen, because that's the only thing that can stop this. That is to stop children from accessing what they're not meant to. So if we go back to when I was a child, I'm 18 now, but when I was around 9 or 10, that was the time when I was first allowed access to internet. And I was very restricted on what I was allowed to access. For example, when I got PS4, I was only allowed to talk to people 2 years older than me or younger. Anyone who else had to be blocked or just not added. And that didn't account for people who had a birthday or something. But the thing is, it was only for that. And there were many other restrictions in place with people I wasn't allowed to talk to or sites I wasn't allowed to go on. The thing is, I never had any reason to go and bypass those rules. I had no incentive to do so, because my parents, they sat down with me and they had a conversation with me about online safety and why it's a big deal. And for the age I was, they did a very good job on telling me what they could tell me without, what you wouldn't tell an 11-year-old or a 12 or a 10-year-old at that stage. But they did a very good job at that. They told me the risks of online safety. They told me the risks of why you shouldn't reveal stuff online, why these rules are in place. And you know what? It was a very good thing they did. Because guess what? If I look back on it, there was at least one time where I think I came across a predator, and I thank my parents for that, because I got a message from a random person on PlayStation, and that random message was very weird now that I look back on it. And the person said they were 22. Thing is, since I was only allowed to talk to people who were 2 years older than me or younger, I just said, sorry, I can't talk to you, even though I had no idea why. But I just said, sorry, I can't talk to you, and I have to block you now. I blocked that person. Look back on it now, that was obviously a person who was a predator. I thank my parents for guiding me to not interact with people, even though I didn't know. That's the thing. Even though I didn't know at the time, I had no idea that people could be malicious and that online safety was a thing, and I had to be cautious online. My parents were very transparent with me on certain things, and since they had that conversation with me, I knew the dangers of stuff. And even though I didn't know the specifics of those dangers, I still knew there were dangers. So I complied with those rules, and even though I could have easily just gone around those rules and, yeah, I'll talk to that person, something bad might have happened from that. And what this all goes back to is the parents. Parents need to parent. It's not up to the government. It's not up to the government to tell us what to do, tell us what to see, tell us what to hear online. Even though this doesn't directly affect me, because I live in Australia, I'm not in America. But the thing is, as I mentioned at the beginning, I think I mentioned at the beginning, I mentioned that we have just had a similar law passed here in Australia. And that is very scary, because the government is I believe the government is trying to control us in some way. Now, I'm glad I mentioned this in this video, because if we go back to my other video on this, there are quite a few comments defending this, and I don't know why people defend these laws. It shouldn't be a thing. It's all up to the parents. It's not up to the government. See, it's all about free speech. I remember hearing about when Elon Musk bought Twitter, Elon Musk actually revealed the leaked documents where each party of the American parties were hiding tweets and comments on that that would oppose what they want to hear and put them in a bad light. So, yeah. But anyways, I think that'll be about it for this video. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like and maybe even subscribe. If you want to see more content like this, I do discussion and news-based content just like this. So if you want to see either of those, consider subscribing. It'll help the channel out a lot, and me. And leave a comment so I can hear your thoughts, because I absolutely do love hearing your thoughts. It's great. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't live in America, but similar thing has happened here in Australia, and I feel like I have a need to talk about this because this similar thing is happening here in Australia, and it's scary. But yeah, anyways, that'll be about it. This is Kenji, and I am out.